We're back with another one. Now, it's been a little bit since I recorded. It's been kind of crazy around here lately, but no, I'm excited for this one because there was something that we're going to get into like right now that was announced at the Apple event that I am excited for, and that is the Watch OS 11. Now, we covered last time, we've already covered the big update for iOS 18, but knowing that there's going to be a big update for the Watch OS is so cool to me. Here in a sec, I'm going to be sharing my screen with you guys and really just talking about some of the features that I'm excited for. And make sure you tell me in the comments below, like, what are some of the features that you're excited for with this new Watch OS update? Because honestly, I'm stoked for this. So let me share my screen. All right, so here's my screen. I'm really excited for this. And there's a few that I'm really excited for the most. The first one being vitals. On my watch, I'm going to bring this full circle with you guys. Hey, real quick. You guys, this is a common phrase. If you haven't been around the Luck Nation, that's a common phrase for me, bringing full circle. So right here on my watch, it's measuring my vitals. It's measuring my BPM right now. And so it's so cool. And I use this a lot. I use this actually quite a bit. So just give it a sec. So I'm currently at 87 BPM, which is actually really good. It shows that I've been active, but I haven't been overdoing it. Now, one of my main issues with the Vitals app is that it would just give you like basic information. Like it'd say like, hey, this is your BPM, but if you want something more concrete or something more, descriptive, you probably need to go to like a healthcare provider, like, go to a clinic, go to like, one of those blood pressure machines that you see in like grocery stores or markets. We all know what I'm talking about. But I like the fact that with this, vitals are improving. You can say like, overnight vitals are typical. I don't wear my watch tonight. By the time 10:30 rolls around, I'm kind of sick of wearing my watch, to be quite honest with you. But I like that. But there's another thing I really like, and that is you can pause activity rings. Now, if you're like me, sometimes, hey, you need a break. Because honestly, like, I can even give you a full example right now. A few days ago, I was mowing the lawn, and I was getting very dehydrated, and so I had to stop mowing the lawn. I don't even know. I wasn't even halfway. I just got dehydrated because I hadn't been drinking water all day. I'm pretty bad about that sometimes, unfortunately. But I was also getting weak shakes. Now, full disclosure, I have hypoglycemia. Now, if you don't know what that is, Google it, of course, after this video. But let me just tell you what it is in a nutshell. So basically, hypoglycemia is pre-diabetes. And so I have to be careful because if I overindulge in like sweets or if I overindulge in certain things, this could turn into diabetes. Now, me trying to be a healthy person, I don't want diabetes. And so when that happened to me a few days ago mowing the lawn, I had to get some protein in me, because that's what happens is with my hypoglycemia is I start to get weak shakes. I feel like I'm gonna pass out, and I have to eat some protein. And it's not just like cheap protein that I need to eat. Like I need to eat things like peanut butter or cheese, things that are really good in protein. And knowing that you can pause your rings right here, as it says, I think that's so cool because, whether it be you're out at the gym, you're working out, and you need to take like maybe a 15-20 minute break, which is totally normal. And I can tell you horror stories I've heard about people overdoing it at the gym. Just the fact that you can pause your activity rings and then start back right where you were is so cool to me, knowing that they're just like, hey, we've heard your desires, and we're going to do this so you can improve this and you can improve your mobility and everything that much more. Now, there's another thing that I really was fascinated about when they announced the Apple update, and that was check-in. So in a nutshell, here in a little bit, we'll break it down into a nutshell, but really what it is if you're like, if you're on a jog or a run or maybe a biking exercise regimen with some friends, some family, or just people you are consistently associated with, when you get home, you can check in to let them know like, hey, I made it home safely. Now, here in a few minutes, as I mentioned, we'll go more into detail with that. But I think that's really cool because Apple, if you know Apple, Apple is all about safety. You know, they want their customers, their clients, or whatever you want to call them, they want us to be safe, especially for the women in our lives, because, you know, let's just face facts. In today's society, there's a lot of unknowns. And knowing that, like, you can now check in with known associates, whether it be family, friends, or just maybe even coworkers that you do exercising with, and letting them know, like, hey, I made it home, is so cool to me, because that just shows that Apple's really trying to make sure that we stay safe. But there's another thing I really want to talk about, and that is, let me bring up my screen, lost train of thought there for a sec, is the turn-by-turn hiking navigation. Now, I live here in northern Utah, and if you know anything about Utah, you know that we're known to have, you know, the Rocky Mountains. We're known to have a lot of different hiking trails. There are some that were man-made and some that were local, that were just made by nature, in a nutshell. And knowing that, like, this can give you that turn-by-turn hiking navigation, because, like, I'll be honest with you guys. Come close. I've lived in Utah my entire life, and I haven't gone on all the various hikes in Utah. Like, you know, I've been up Ogden Canyon, I've been up Logan Canyon, I've been up Farmington Canyon, I've been down in southern Utah, you know, the Moab area, the Zion's National Park area. You know, these are places I've been, but it's really cool that we have this turn-by-turn hiking navigation that's going to be coming out, because there's a lot of various hikes in different places, not even just Utah, all over the world, that it can give you turn-by-turn navigation, saying, you know, turn left, turn right, turn left, you know, at, you know, a quarter mile, you'll arrive at your destination, you know, all these cool things. And I love that so much, knowing that you can, you know, have this guide, which is so cool. But going back to it, there's another thing I want to talk to you guys about, and that is the fact that they're coming out with the Translate app. I don't have my phone on me right now, but so for those who are wondering what the Translate app is, a few updates ago, Apple came out with their own version of like a Google Translate, which is fine. And some people deleted it. Like I've talked to people like, yeah, I deleted that. I don't really use it. I never deleted it, because I personally enjoy having it, especially like if I come in contact with someone who doesn't speak English, knowing that I can translate whatever it is I'm needing to communicate to them, knowing that I can do it with that is so cool. And knowing that it's now coming to the watch, to the Apple Watch, because, like, I'll be honest with you guys, you never know when you're going to come, when you're going to be in, like, maybe if you're going to be in, like, you know, Spain, or you're going to be in Italy, or you're going to be in Germany, you know, or if you're going to be in Japan or China, all these places where you don't really speak the language, and they don't speak the English language, maybe, or possibly they don't, or it's broken. Knowing that I can just pull out my watch and communicate whatever it is I'm needing to communicate with them, whether it be, you know, needing to know where the bathroom is, or wanting to know where the local hotel is, or wanting to know where the best restaurant is, or this one restaurant is. Knowing that I can do that, and I don't have to pull out my big 13 Pro Max, which I love my 13 Pro Max, but knowing that I can do that instead of just pulling out my big phablet, as some people refer to the 13 Pro Max and just the Pro Max in general, is such a cool thing for me, knowing that it's now coming to Apple Watch OS, knowing that I can just pull it up on my phone, on my watch, which is connected to my phone, and I can just say, like, I can translate what it is I'm needing directions to, and people can just like, oh, it's this way, and they can, you know, they can point. But, you know, I'll be honest with you guys, like, you know, my watch, this is a Series 5 watch. This is me being honest with you guys. When I first heard of Apple Watches back in 2015, 2016, when they first announced them, I was strongly against them. I was like, I got an iPhone, I got a MacBook, I got a nice Fossil watch. I don't need an Apple Watch. It's a waste of money for me. And I would have people say, like, it's probably a waste of money for you, but it's perfect for me. So then you fast forward from 2016 all the way to 2020, my older brother Dan, who's up in Portland. He had his Apple Watch for a little while at that point. And I remember seeing his Apple Watch and seeing all the cool capabilities that it had, and I was just blown away at the fact that it had all these cool capabilities. And little did I know that not even like a month or two later, the pandemic, good old COVID-19, would come in and would force everybody to stay home and to find other ways to stay active and to exercise. And I liked the fact that with this Apple Watch that I have, and this it's not the same wristband, but it's the same watch, I was able to stay active even during COVID and still, stay far away from people and still know that I'm still getting my exercise. I'm getting my longevity every day. And this is so cool. But I want to bring up with you guys the Apple website. I mentioned this a little while ago. If I didn't, well, this is me mentioning it. We're going to talk about this because Apple gives us they gave a lot of people who watched the Apple event, they gave us a little bit of a preview, but this isn't even more of a preview of the Watch OS 11. So let me share my screen. So this is the Apple OS 11 preview. That's a lot to say in one sentence. So again, it's talking about, renew your vitals during sleep. Your heart rate and wrist temperature were higher than usual, and I think that's really cool that they're really improving that feature. The Vitals app on your Apple Watch is to me, it's one of the most important parts of the Apple Watch, because now I don't know if you're like me, but I want to make sure I'm staying healthy, that my vitals are good. But I do have to do a little excerpt real quick. There's an update that needs to happen. And Apple, if you're watching this needs to happen. So we're going to rewind the clock a little bit back to fall of 2022. I had just started my job at this warehouse. I was processing flowers. And I would use the cutter and I would cut these flowers. My Apple Watch just kept coming up with alerts saying, it seems like you've taken a fall. Do we need to reach out to emergency services? And I'd have to hit the button saying, no, I'm fine, I didn't fall. And my mom, who's in the other room as I speak, she's had that same problem even recently, where like either she was digging out in the yard or she was trimming flowers or whatever the case she was doing. Sometimes she'd get those alerts saying like, it seems like you've taken a fall. Do we need to contact emergency services? And she'd have to hit the little button saying like, I'm fine, I didn't fall. But that's a bug that Apple needs to fix. And I'm sure anyone watching this has probably experienced that same bug. Now, am I saying that this is a bad thing? Not at all. Because I've heard of circumstances where people have ridden mountain bikes, they've had terrible falls to the point where they couldn't really move. And Apple picked up on that, saying, hey, it seems like you've had a crash or something. Do we need to contact emergency services? And then they could hit, yes, please contact emergency services. But there is a bug that Apple needs to fix. And I'm sure if you've had this bug, make sure you tell me in the comments below, because it was getting really frustrating, because it was happening to me for like 2 months. Back in fall of 2022, I was like, I didn't fall. Like, why are you thinking I fell? I did not fall. I was cutting flowers. I was processing flowers. I'm fine. I didn't fall. But going back to this, I love the fact that, again, here's where it's talking about you can pause your rings. I like the fact that it shows, it talks about that translate app where you can say, like, where's the train station? If you're like in Italy, you can say in Italian. I almost said in Italy. That was great English. You can say like, where's the train station? Because you're in another country, you don't know where you're going. And again, I love the fact that they have that check-in option when the workout has ended. These are some really cool things that I love. I love the fact that Apple's really looking at what people are requesting and having a desire to have, and they're saying, we've heard your desires, your requests, and we're not just going to give you them, but we're going to go above and beyond to make sure you're satisfied. Now, and there's another thing that I didn't mention that I think is really cool, and that is right here, the Uber arriving now feature. You know, I don't know if you guys are like me, but sometimes if you're like on a business trip where you don't have your car, you know, and sometimes, especially like if you're in New York, taxis are expensive. They're very expensive. I've had family members tell me they're really expensive. And I like the fact that you can now get notified that your Uber is arriving. I love that feature so much. It is so cool and it's so helpful. So let's read this. Finally tuned to you. Better understand your daily health status using your overnight vitals. See how workouts may impact your body over time. And discover new features that make Apple Watch undeniably yours. That's Watch OS 11 coming this fall. And I love, and here we go. This is what I really wanted to kind of emphasize. These are what we've already talked about, where this goes into more detail. When it says pause your rings, move, exercise, and stand rings, show your daily activity. And the goal is to close them every day. But if you need to take a break, you can now put your rings on pause for a day, week, month, or more and keep your award streak going, which, you know, I'm going to bring this full circle. I had a family member that had a very serious health medical emergency back in summer 2021. I couldn't really exercise because I was with them in the hospital. I was making sure that they were okay. And I had this streak going, right? It was a great streak. I was happy. It was like, you've been active for like 10 days, or I don't even remember exactly how many days, but I lost it. Now, do I regret losing it? No, because my family member's still here. But it's just frustrating that that hard work that I put into this was gone. And I like the fact that you can now pause it and say, like, you know, I'll come back to this when I can. Especially like if you're sick, you know, people are still getting COVID. People are still having major health crises where they're in the hospital for a few months. And so knowing that you can now pause your rings so you don't lose your streak is so cool, because my brother and I, we always talk about this and how my brother's like, yeah, I've been going over such and such many years and doing this. And then like last year, earlier this year, even last year, he lost a streak that he had for like over 3 years. And he was very deflated and frustrated about that. So I love the fact that you can now pause it. You know, more customizable than ever. Now you can adjust your activity goal rings for every day of the week so you get the motivation you need on the days you need it. So, and I love that, because I'm a Christian. And on Sundays, I don't really do too much activity. You know, I try to, you know, just spend time with family. I don't really exercise too much. I move around and I'm wearing my watch, but I don't go on like big hikes. I don't go to the gym. I don't do anything like that. But knowing I can set that day aside and say like, well, I'm only going to do this on this day and this on this day is so cool, knowing that they have heard our requests, our desires, and they're giving it to us. It's so cool. All right, going on. I want to scroll into the next section, and I love this. You know, new ways to serve up your summary. Add, move, or remove metrics from the summary tab to the fitness app store on iPhone to include what matters to you most, and check out new metrics for running, cycling, swimming, and more. Guys, I'll be honest with you. I get so excited on the days that I mow the lawn, because I know that I'm going to get all my rings. I'm going to get all my rings. I'm going to get my move, my exercise, and my stand, because mowing the lawn takes a little bit. Now, is that the only reason I like to mow the lawn? No, but it's just nice knowing that on those days, I can get all 3 rings, which is so cool. You know, most days I can get 2 rings, but knowing that on the days I mow my lawn, I can get them all. And I love this, that, you know, you can remove things that you don't want. And man, it's so cool. And, you know, and here again, this is the vitals that we were talking about. You know, your overnight health data in one convenient place. See what's typical for you. Vitals establish a typical range for each of your health metrics collected as you sleep. Now, I may have an issue with this, because, guys, I don't know about you guys, but I'm not the biggest fan of wearing a watch at night. It's very discomforting to me. By 10:30, I'm just like, I just want to take this thing off and just throw it. metaphorically speaking, obviously. But knowing that you can now have these kind of cool vitals is so cool. So you don't always have, so you'll always know at a glance how your metrics are stacking up. I love that. You know, just, oh man, there's so much about this that I'm so, you know, they're improving the photo face. They're doing the cycle tracking for the women in my life and for the women in the community, in the Lock Nation community, which if you're not a member, make sure you subscribe because we got some pretty cool things coming up here soon. Which brings me to a good point. And that is when we hit 1K, I'm doing a giveaway. This is my second giveaway. The first one was okay, it was average, but this one's going to be pretty big. You know, there's a lot of people in my community, in this community, the Lock Nation, that are gamers. And so one of the things that I'm giving away is a Steam code for Lords of the Fallen. Now, I have to give you guys a heads up. This is only for PC and the Steam Deck. You know, Mac doesn't work on Mac, so if you're on Mac, you know, I'm sorry, I've already looked into it. But this is a Steam code for Lords of the Fallen. This is a game that came out around Christmas time, this past Christmas. And then the other giveaway that I'm doing is a $50 Amazon gift card, because who doesn't like having a gift card to Amazon? You know, Amazon, the one-stop shop for everything that you need, especially for your tech and your toys and everything else, even food. So here's how you get to enter. So there's 3 things you got to do. Number 1, you got to subscribe to the channel, that's not a deal breaker, but that's one of the minor requirements. Number 2, you need to send an email to anthonylockmedia.com and let me know like what you would do with said gift card or game. And then number 3, make sure you comment in this video right now as you listen to this and tell me what features you like about the Apple Watch or just about your smartwatch that you wear in general. It doesn't have to be Apple. It can be Samsung. It can be whatever smartwatch you have. Let me know what features you like most on your smartwatch. And when we do this live stream, because this is going to be a live stream, there's going to be a way for you guys to enter in, and I'll give you more details on that when the live stream happens. But yes, when we hit 1K on this channel, I'm doing that giveaway. Now, does that give you incentive to stick around? I hope so. Don't just subscribe and everything so you can win something. On this channel, I talk a lot about tech, I do gaming, I do videography, and the occasional photography. My goal is to help you to understand tech so much simpler than a lot of people do. But going back to this, you know, I mentioned just a little bit ago, I love the fact that, you know, you're going to have the photos face is really being updated. Picture perfect images curated for you, powered by machine learning. The redesigned photos face can search thousands of photos in your library intelligently and analyze them and select the best compositions, framing, and image quality to your watch to give people, places, or things you love the star treatment. I love that. And I love the fact that for the women in this community and those watching, it helps you with cycle tracking, because, you know, from what I understand, this is a very helpful thing, knowing that it can help you as a woman know when you're pregnant and when you're not. I think that is such a cool feature, because like they've already had this, but this is an improved version of it. This guy right here is improved. They've already had this on the Apple Watch, but I love the fact that they're improving it. And lastly, I want to talk about the Smart Stack. You know, live activities are now supported by Apple Watch and appear in the Smart Stack, so you can stay on top of the latest sports scores and know when your Uber is about to arrive. I have already mentioned this, but guys, there is so much about this. I could go on. If you want me to do a part 2 of this, make sure you tell me in the comments below. Make sure you enter that contest. If you haven't heard that contest yet, go rewind this and I talk about how to enter into the contest, the giveaway. But honestly, guys, there's so much about this that I'm so excited for. because Apple is really designing this stuff with us in mind. And on that note, I will see you in the next video. Peace.